So the story or legend of Kung Fu basically goes, a monk named Bodhidharma, or Damo in Chinese, came from India to China to spread his form of Buddhism called Chan, or more commonly known as Zen Buddhism. Came to China, spoke to the imperial court, and they basically laughed him off and said, hey, we believe in Taoism, take that stuff somewhere else. So he goes to a relatively unknown temple called the Shaolin Temple to meditate. There's a lot of legends about this guy, so stand by. He goes to this temple, meditates in a cave for 9 years, cuts off his own eyelids, but we're not going to really talk about all those legends. What we want to talk about is him and Kung Fu. So he starts teaching meditation. His form of Buddhism was very heavily influenced on long meditating. So they had to meditate for many hours. So when he was teaching these monks to meditate, he noticed that they were falling asleep, that they were basically out of shape. So he created these exercises, which were basic breathing Qigong exercises to these monks so that they can meditate for these long periods of time. So what's interesting about this legend, this is the legend of how Kung Fu started. This legend doesn't mention anything about fighting. I've never heard anybody talk about how Damo or Bodhidharma was a fighter, or he beat up somebody with this style, or anything. He just talks about health. He talks about enriching these people's lives so that they can gain enlightenment. And this is story, it's probably not 100% true. It's like all tall tales or legends. There's a lot of things like I said, this guy cut off his eyelids because he got mad because he fell asleep during meditation. And supposedly these eyelids became the first tea leaves of China because, when you drink green tea, it has caffeine in it, so it keeps you awake. I'm pretty sure that's not where tea leaves came from. I mean, I wasn't there when tea was created, but I'm pretty sure that's not it. But what these stories do is give us an idea of what the culture is about, and also gives us an idea of what the Chinese believe Kung Fu is. And Kung Fu is a way to enhance your body, your health, so that you can reach a higher place or become enlightened. So it's not all religious, but religion and martial arts are very closely tied in China. So there's like the Taoist martial arts and the Buddhist martial arts and even Muslim martial arts within China. And they're tied together, but overall, the idea of Kung Fu was that it was for the betterment of the person, of the individual. Now, you may take this story and say, see, I told you, Kung Fu is not for fighting. That's why they don't know how to fight. Well, remember that Kung Fu is a broad term for many, many hundreds of styles that come out of China. And there's many different martial arts styles, from Mantis, Wing Chun, Choi Li Foot, go on. There's hundreds of them. Each one of them has their own origin story as well. And that origin story or legend will give you an idea about what that martial art is about. So in my style, Mantis style, there was a guy named Wang Long, and he basically, there's a lot of different legends, because there's so many styles, the story gets told a lot. But basically, he went and fought somebody in a temple, maybe the Shaolin Temple, maybe another temple. That's not important. We want to talk about what the story is basically about. He goes into a temple, gets in a fight, loses, comes back, meditates on what he did wrong, and he hears a cicada getting eaten by a mantis. Captures the mantis, starts poking it with a stick, starts emulating the mantis's moves, goes back, challenges this guy to a fight, and beats him with this new style that he learned or that he created. So that story tells you that this martial art is about fighting. This is what it's made for. Most martial arts, most Kung Fu styles, their individual style story is going to be about fighting, about what their principles of fighting are. Now, when you take the Kung Fu story and you stack it on top, you got this, the subset of Mantis Kung Fu. Okay, the story is he wanted to learn a better fighting system. He emulated the Mantis and he created a better fighting system. Then you have the overlying of it. This is Kung Fu, so it must be for the betterment of the person. There must be that aspect. It must be healthy. It must make you a stronger person, not just a better fighter, but you have to have that breathing techniques, the breathing exercises, the qigong, right? The wu de, the martial values. Those have to be together for it to truly be Kung Fu, for it to truly be a Chinese martial art. So these stories, we have these here in the U.S. We do have similar stories about our leaders. So we have one about George Washington, right? George Washington, when he was a kid, allegedly, again, this is a legend. It's probably not 100% fact. I don't know if this has been proven, but when he was a child, he chopped down a cherry tree. His parents came out, said, "Did you chop down the cherry tree?" And he couldn't lie, so he said, "Yes, I chopped down the cherry tree." Now, George Washington most certainly could lie, right? He was a general, so part of the art of war is being deceitful. So I'm not saying that George Washington never told a lie, but this story tells you that of probably politicians for his time or people for his time, he was considered a very honest and genuine person. So that's what this legend is trying to tell us. It doesn't matter whether the story is 100% accurate or if it really happened. It's trying to tell you what that culture believes, what that culture values. So in the Kung Fu case, it's saying that all Kung Fu has to be for the betterment of people, right? Has to make people better, has to make them healthier, has to instill values in them and that sort of thing. And then the subset style, like, okay, Mantis, Wing Chun, Choi Li Foot, right? Whatever their legend is, will tell you what they value as far as their fighting or their principles. So that's it. Let me know if any comments you have. I know there's a lot of different stories about Damo, a lot of different stories about Wang Long, a lot of different stories about George Washington. And if you didn't like those stories, let me know in the comments below too. And I'll see you next time on Mantis Mechanics.